Good morning, you're with us here on Business Today. I'm Abha Bakaya. We're going to get you all the action ahead of market opening. First, a look at what's hot in the corporate and financial world this morning. Stock markets are set for a gap-up opening after the US reduces tariffs on India by 25% and a framework for an overall trade deal is reached. Sentiments are also on a high after the Japanese and Korean markets zoomed 5% this morning. The Dow also closed at a new high on Friday. Biggest gains expected in sectors like textiles, apparel, engineering goods, auto components and specialty chemicals. Reduction in US tariffs not only boosts export competitiveness but increases margins for Indian manufacturers as well. There's also some good news with foreign portfolio investors remaining net buyers of Indian securities on Friday. Gold continues to be a favorite of Indian investors despite its high prices. World Gold Council data shows gold ETFs attracted a whopping $2.5 billion in January, nearly double that of December. The amount was more than half of the entire fiscal's inflows. Some bad news for Maruti Suzuki, with the government reportedly scrapping plans for fuel efficiency concession for small cars under new CAFE 3 norms. According to Reuters, the pullback comes after objections from other auto companies that the rules unfairly favored Maruti's dominance in the lightweight segment. State Bank of India lifts FY26 loan growth outlook to 13 to 15% as Q3 profit jumps 25%. Chairman C.S. Sethi flags deposit pressure from market-linked savings, backs stronger bond markets and says India-US trade deal removes tariffs overhang and has opened global supply chain opportunities for MSME. Well, let's also bring you the latest on precious metals. They are edging higher this morning. Gold, silver bouncing back on a weak dollar and, of course, on risk on trade with Iran in the backdrop. Gold is now 2,700 has jumped 2,700 rupees at 1.58 lakhs per 10 grams. MCX silver has surged 14,500 rupees at 2.63 per kilo. Remember, we have seen huge volatility in silver in particular, while gold, of course, has been gradually inching up. Metals are currently up on a weak dollar and also Iran tension. So we'll keep an eye on those for you during the week. 2 days after the joint statement on the India-US trade deal, markets are now reacting to the mega agreement as more and more clarity comes to the surface. The pact is set to boost labor-intensive sectors and MSMEs, including textiles, auto components and machine parts, leather, footwear, handicrafts and handlooms, all set to gain. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal has outlined beneficiary sectors, while the Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan has assured safeguards for farmers and the dairy sector.
वस्त्र क्षेत्र के साथ जुड़े हैं, टेक्सटाइल्स, लेदर के और फुटवेयर के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, टॉयज के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, स्पोर्ट्स गुड्स के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। ढेर सारे ऐसे क्षेत्र हैं जहां भारत को अब अमेरिकन मार्केट में लाभ मिलेगा। जो मशीनरी और पार्ट्स, अलग अलग प्रकार के मशीनरी के पार्ट्स होते हैं, खिलौनों का मैंने जिक्र किया, टॉयज, ज्वेलरी जो बनती है, ज्वेलरी, लेदर एंड फुटवेयर, टेक्सटाइल और अपैरल का बहुत बड़ा हमारा निर्यात में फायदा होगा।
प्रमुख अनाज, प्रमुख फल, हमारे डेयरी उत्पाद, उनके लिए कोई द्वार अमेरिका के लिए नहीं खोला गया है। कृषि और डेयरी उत्पादों के अलावा इस लिस्ट में कई मसाले भी सम्मिलित हैं। भारत अमेरिका से काली मिर्च, लौंग, सूखी हरी मिर्च, दालचीनी, धनिया, जीरा, हींग, अदरक, हल्दी, अजवाइन, मेथी, केसिया, सरसों, राई, भूसी और अन्य पाउडर मसाले नहीं मंगवाएगा। मतलब लगभग हमारे मसाले सुरक्षित हैं। भारतीय किसानों को भारतीय किसानों के कृषि उत्पादों को, कई कृषि उत्पादों को अमेरिका में शून्य शुल्क पर निर्यात किया जाएगा, लेकिन अमेरिकी किसानों के कृषि उत्पादों को भारतीय बाजार में ये छूट नहीं मिली है। और मैं फिर कह रहा हूं, भारत के कृषि और डेयरी के हित पूरी तरह से सुरक्षित है।
All right, we're joined by Bo Chalendra Bhatnagar as well as Amrish Baliga this morning. Gentlemen, good to have you with us. Just counting down to opening. Amrish, let me get you in first. We're starting the week on a good note. Asia on a high post political victories in Japan. We've got US recovering post the rout on tech that we saw last week. Trade deal, of course, has come through and markets have been cheering that. So all systems seem to be on track this morning. Amrish?
Absolutely. I think the big events are all over and it's been positive, especially the, US-India trade treaty. Earnings are nearly getting over, possibly another 1 week or more. And we have the monetary policy, which was, in line with expectations, and that's over. Japanese elections have been positive. We had a budget where it was a bit negative for the markets, but then that was covered by the US treaty. So going ahead, at least the next couple of weeks looks extremely bullish. I mean, the way, the world markets are also set up. I think the only issue seems to be the Russian oil. On which there is no clarity. Both the ministries are putting on to each other, both Commerce Ministry as well as the Foreign Affairs Ministry. And as you know, I think the biggest risk is President Trump. You never know when things can change. But assuming everything remains as it is, I think we should see an extremely good move as far as the Indian markets are concerned. I will not be surprised if we see a new high over the next couple of weeks. So clearly, from a short to medium term perspective, I'm bullish.
Great. So some amount of a catch-up expected there. Otherwise, we've been seeing cautious range-bound trade now this year so far. Just counting down to opening now. Let me just take a look at the screens. And all right. Opening ticks up over 100 points on the Nifty. Share, let me get you in on what you're tracking.
Well, good morning to all, ladies and gentlemen. SBI off the blocks, sprinting ahead 3.7% higher. Other banks are also following suit, in particular Kotak is 2.5% higher, but the trade deal with the US, the fine print coming in, and jewelry stocks and textile stocks are buzzing with gains. Kalyan Jewellers 4.5% higher, kissing 398. You have top gainers in the form of KPR Mills. There is strength coming into counters such as Well-Spun Living. These are all exporters of fabrics as well as finished products in the textile space to the US market. 4% higher on Well-Spun Living. KPR Mills is buzzing 1.1% higher. You have strength in metals. Hindustan Zinc 1.3% higher. Shipping Corporation taking it away 9% higher. This is the top gainer as far as markets are concerned. Gains are also seen on Tata Steel, now a fresh high above 200 rupees. Karur Vyasa Bank, another fresh high, a record move coming in at 1.5% higher. Navin Fluorine earnings today at 6450. Chemicals, ladies and gentlemen, are big winners in this US trade deal because the tariffs on Chinese imports of chemicals into US stands at 15%. Ours is at 18%, so that's a gap that's very good for Indian chemical industry. Of course, metals being represented by APL Apollo, JSW Steel and Jindal Steel and Power. These are the top gainers as far as markets are concerned at this point of time. Let's go to Amrish and find out what his views are on the chemical space. Good morning to you, Amrish. A favorite on that one?
Which I think would do extremely well based on the US-India trade treaty. And in this, I would surely look at something like a Deepak Nitrite, Archon Chemicals. I think some of these should really benefit out of the exports to US.
Okay, fair point.
SBI,
Also
because
marking in
that's the one
silver,
that,
ladies and gentlemen, silver ETFs.
Okay, Amrish, let me bring up SBI. 5.5, almost 6% higher today. Now, that's the market heavyweight, and I'd go so far as to say a huge part of the contribution is coming in from an SBI this morning. 6% up. Of course, earnings have been fantastic, commentary is intact, but they do allude to tight liquidity. They do allude to deposit pressure. What do you make of the commentary?
See, the commentary has been a bit cautious, but the performance has been extremely good. And this is the sort of a performance which we've seen for the last couple of quarters, because of which, if you look at the last 1 year, I mean, SBI has appreciated about 45%. With today's move, it should be more than 50%. And I see this momentum continuing because liquidity, anyway, I mean, going ahead, we should see liquidity, I mean, easing to a certain extent. I think RBI will take the right moves. And I mean, what I see happening in the PSU banking space is a consolidation. I mean, we have about 12, 13 PSU banks now, which will possibly get merged into about 4 or 5 large PSU banks. And SBI, again, would be one of the major gainers there. So at least in the medium term, I see levels of about 1280 or so as far as SBI is concerned. But this is a stock not to be held on for much longer term.
Okay, so that's clearly on the retail side, Amrish. On the private sector capex front, where do you see the challenge? Because that was still a roaring debate even after this budget in terms of whether or not the demand scenario was robust enough to drive private sector capex. Do you feel we've already seen some indications of this? Do you feel it's still going to be a continued challenge?
No, it's been a challenge for a long time, but
Yeah.
with most of the issues getting sorted, I mean, especially I'm talking of the India-US trade treaty. I think in the last 5, 6 months, this was one of the major issues as far as the private capex was concerned. I think with this also getting sorted out, and with new export markets opening up, I mean, we have signed off, I mean, trade treaties with a number of other countries, including EU. So, I mean, clearly, I see capex, the private capex, I mean, starting off at least over the next 1 or 2 quarters, and that I think should take care of the credit.
Okay. Shell, let me bring you in. I think you had a question earlier.
I think we just spoke on the chemical space, in which Ambarish mentioned Archean Chemicals as one of his top picks. I'd like to mark the silver ETF going into strength. You have silver Bs now trading 7.5% higher. SBI just rocketing, fresh record high ABHA here at 6%. I can't remember the last time you saw such a move coming into SBI. This indeed is a record high, and a bank that controls 25% of Indian banking is doing good. Gold Bs are also 2.6% higher, and of course you have strength coming into other metal counters as well, in particular Hindustan Copper, Hindustan Zinc, Tata Steel, ABHA.
Tata Steel, of course, also the 723% surge in net profit in December. 723%. That's 2,689 crores now for Tata Steel. That's up from 327 crore in the corresponding period last year. That's just phenomenal. I'm going to get Amrish's view on the charts on Tata Steel, but just to mark a few other gainers on earnings, Kalyan Jewellers also net profit up 90%. 90% on a Kalyan Jewellers to 416 crores. That's compared with 218 crores last year. Strong revenue coming in, rising 42% year on year as well. So that's on Kalyan. We've got Tata Steel, SBI, some of these names that are just skyrocketing on earnings this morning. Coming back to, and of course, Shipping Corporation of India. Let me just pull that one up for you as well. That's up 13% on earnings today. Amrish, I want to just come to Tata Steel first, because what are the kind of targets one would look at on this counter, given the kind of phenomenal surge in numbers?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen the net profit rising multifold, and basically the operating margins have improved sequentially because of the cost control measures which they have taken. Low raw material costs also have helped. So I think we should see this sort of a performance at least in the foreseeable quarters. So my target here is about 250. It is the initial target is possibly when that's reached, we could, I would again revisit and see whether it can move further from here or not.
Okay. Lots of buzzers in the broader markets on the back of the trade deal as well, as we had marked at the start of the show. So a whole host of those, whether it's the likes of Avanti Feeds, whether it's other agri counters, whether it's jewelers. We're seeing just a whole smattering of names in the broader markets that are moving higher on the back of the trade deal impact as well. Now, the government has reportedly scrapped planned concessions for small cars in its upcoming fuel efficiency and emission rules. According to news agency Reuters, the decision comes after major automakers, including Tata Motors and Mahindra, pushed back, saying the proposed relief would unfairly benefit only one company. A draft leniency for petrol cars weighing under 909 kilos, widely seen as favoring the small car segment, has now been reportedly removed, with stricter standards applied across all vehicles. The revised regulations, due to kick in from April next year for 5 years, aim to drive stronger emission cuts and accelerate electric and hybrid vehicle adoption. Non-compliance could draw fines of up to $550 per car as India pushes for cleaner transport and lower carbon output. That's the latest on the auto pack there. I think overall, though, Amrish, everyone still remains to be fairly bullish on auto, regardless of a few of these regulatory changes coming in, or duty cuts and so on and so forth. The outlook still continues to be fairly robust.
And look at the numbers month on month. We've seen record numbers, but I think this the recent announcement would be a bit negative for Maruti, because they have the largest number of petrol cars in that space. So I think they may also have to look at what Tata Motors have been doing. Most of the small cars have been converted into EVs. I think they may have to change the strategy. If they want to keep the sort of market share which they have. Otherwise, you will have the smaller EVs taking over the market share.
All right, a fair view coming in there on Maruti in particular, and auto is a little tepid today. But let's come back to silver, gold, and take a look at, for example, the Nippon Silver Index, because or Silver Bs, it's continuing to skyrocket. And keep your attention when it comes to the moves that we're seeing on those precious metals. They continue to be volatile, but this morning silver is back in action, up about 8% on Nippon Silver there, as you can see on your screen. And a whole host of other earnings reactions that we're spotting for you as well in the broader markets. Shell, what else are you tracking?
Well, Abha, I'm looking at the banking space. Post the blowout that you've had in State Bank of India, many other banks are doing extremely well. Look at Indian Bank, now 3.5% higher. Bank of India rushing up 2.5%. Central Bank, UCO Bank, PNB, all going into a strong uptick. But this is at the same time when the private banking setup ain't so good. So you have HDFC Bank slipping to 940, ICICI Bank at 1402, Kotak at about 426. So strong rally in the PSU banking sector, thanks to SBI's wonderful talk about credit explosion and the fact that you have a lot of momentum in the entire PSU basket as well. You mentioned SCI. I'm also looking at metals, all of them doing pretty well. Abha.
All right, Amrish, Shell, thanks so much for joining us this morning. We'll leave it there. We'll be back again at 3 o'clock to walk you through market closing. Good start to the week and to the trading day. Thanks so much for watching.